Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you from the DeKalb County Library System. And I have another tutorial for you, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Anyway, anybody who knows me knows that I love to find something, take it apart, twist it up, and turn it into something else. And recently I came across a picture of a lovely pair of earrings that someone had made, and there was not a tutorial for it. They just had little pictures of how each component was put together, and I told them I'm going to break this down and do a tutorial, and I am doing it right now. So instead of earrings, I'm turning those earrings into bracelet links or into links. You can make it into a necklace too. But it was so pretty that I said that would make a gorgeous bracelet. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to just show you how to put it together. It's a bit different than the way they did because, of course, theirs were earrings and they weren't going to be putting any stress on the links. So I had to just kind of recreate it a little bit. So what we're going to do is make a really pretty bracelet out of several different links. I'm calling it trefoil because it's going to be wraps around 3 beads. I'm using rondelles and I'm using crystals. Crystal rondelles, 20 gauge wire, and jump rings are all that you need to make this bracelet. We're going to make our own clasp, and so that's all you need. You're not going to need anything else, except for your pliers, of course, your round nose pliers, square or chain nose pliers, and cutters, and a ruler to measure. And as I said before, you're going to need some beads, jump rings, and 20 gauge wire. I'm using 6mm rondelles. For the earrings that they did, they used bicones, which you can also use. I don't know what size they used or anything like that, but that's what I'm using today, 6mm rondelles. So let's get started because I am eager. Got it. Why do I do that? I know why. Now I can see. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, I can't even use that as an excuse anymore. I'm just stupid. Anyway, let's go. Let's go ahead and get down here to the other camera and get going. All right, so the first thing I need is 20 gauge wire. I'm using 8 inches. That seems to work out perfectly. I've done a couple of them and all I've had to cut off was a couple of inches after I finished. But you're better off having a little more than you need than too little. Once you start doing this, if you decide you don't want to waste 2 inches of wire, you can take it down a little bit. But for my purposes, I'm using 8 inches of 20 gauge wire to get started. So what I'm going to do is take my round nose pliers. I'm going to fold this kind of in half, but I need one side to be about 1 inch longer than the other because I'm going to be wrapping it. Now I'm going to bring this down a little bit closer so that we can really get up close and personal to what I'm doing. So I'm folding it in half. I'm going to leave one about 1 inch, one side about 1 inch longer than the other. I'm going to make myself a substantial sized loop, maybe a little more than 1/3 of the way down my pliers. I'm going to fold that over and I'm going to cross the wires over. Again, one side should be about 1 inch longer than the other. So I'm going to cross my wires over, make a loop like so. I think I did a little bit more than 1 inch on this side. So I'm going to scooch that down so that I can make it a little bit shorter. I want a little more length on the other side. So let's pull that until it's a little longer on the short side. I think that'll do it. I just need to give myself a little more wire on that side. Let's just check it out. Yep, that looks like about an inch longer. That's good. So now I have a loop. And what I'm going to do is wrap that long tail around the short tail. So I'm just going to give my short tail a little bit of a bend, just kind of straighten it out a little bit, like so. And I'm going to wrap this long tail around the short tail twice. So I have 2 wraps. There we go. So then I'm going to take a bead and I'm going to feed it on the wire that I did not wrap, the wire that's just hanging straight down. So I'm going to put a bead on that wire, slide it all the way up to as close as I can get to the wrapped part. And then I'm going to bring the other wire under the bead and around the front of the wire and all the way around the bead. And just frame it, just like so. Just bring that all the way around and down the side, like that. And then I'm going to grab another bead and put it on the wire that I just wrapped around the bead. So here's the wire that I wrapped around. I'm going to put a bead on there. And then I'm going to take the other wire and wrap it around the bead. And again, it's in front of the wire that the bead is on. Wrap it all the way around the bead. And down until it's straight next to the other wire, just like that. Then I'm going to bring my third bead up and put it on the wire that I just wrapped around the bead. Now, always remember, after the first one, you want to put the bead on the wire that you just used to wrap around the bead. Well, let's get even closer. See what I've got going on here? And then I'm going to bring the other wire and wrap it around the bead. And I'm giving a lot of instruction because I know my fingers are covering the wire and the bead up a little bit. So I want you to know what I'm doing. And I want to make sure that I'm nice and close to the bead down the side here. Wrap it around. And there's my little wrap. Then I'm going to continue wrapping with that wire. And I want to make sure I hold this down so that it doesn't come up over the bead. I just want to make sure it's nice and close. Then I'm going to continue wrapping that wire until it's underneath the bead. And now I'm going to wrap it around the other stem. Now see how that wants to pop up? You want to make sure you hold that down. And if you need to, you can use your pliers to hold it down. And just wrap around the stem. And I make sure I give it one good solid wrap. Maybe 1.5. Depends on the look that you're after. It also depends on how many times you've wrapped the other side, because you want it to look about the same, because you're about to wrap this one around as well. Yeah. And I'm going to cut off that tail. You can see I have a good inch that I'm about to cut off. Rid of that. Push that little end down till it's resting against the stem, the other wire. And then I'm going to bend this wire to the side, like so. And I'm going to make another loop, just like on this side. Now, this loop is a little not round, so let's just fix that. So it's a little more round. It's a little prettier. There we go. Back to the other loop. So now I want to make another loop on this side. And in order to see how far down I should slide my wire, I'm going to put it on my pliers just so I can see approximately where I should put this side to make my loop. Okay. And I'm going to bring the wire across and over the top of my pliers until it's resting down the side here. Open my pliers up, rotate them back, and then grasp my wire again and bring that tail underneath again until I have a loop. I like to compare to make sure they look about the same size. Yes. Then I'm going to grab my square pliers and I'm going to wrap the tail of the wire around the bottom of my loop. Flip off that tail. Again, I have another inch over here. That's okay. And push down that end. Where'd it go? There it is. Just that little end down so it won't do any damage to my skin or my clothes. There. And there is my little trefoil wrap. Isn't that neat? I like creating new things. Now this has a definite front and back. That's the front, that's the back, and you can see why there's a difference. Let's do another one. So I have my little 8 inches of wire. I'm going to fold it kind of in half, kind of eyeball it until I can see that I have another inch on one side, a little bit more on one side than I do have the other. And let's fold it down there. Yeah, that's pretty good. And make a loop. Okay. And then the short tail, I'm going to bend until it's straight. I'm going to grasp that with my pliers and just put a bend in it until it's going straight down. Then I'm going to wrap the long tail around that short tail. So hold on to that. Wrap it around. I want it to be as close to the bottom of the loop as I can get. And just give it 2 wraps. Okay. And if you want to straighten up your loop, you can at this point. or you can wait until later. And you can see one's longer than the other. The longer one is going to wrap around the shorter one, and the bead is going to go on the shorter one. The bead always goes on, the bead goes on the one the first time that did not wrap around the stem. So here's the one that wrapped. Here's the one that was free. I'm going to put a bead on it. And I'm going to wrap the long tail around the bead. Nice and close. Okay, right there across the front and down the side. Here's my first wrap. Then I'm going to bring this up so that it's not leaning so weird. Is that better? Yeah, that's a better view. Take another bead, put it on the wire that I just wrapped with. And then bring the other wire around the bead. Just wrap it around there. Again, nice and close. Around the side with my bead. And there we go. Yes. And bead number 3. Excuse me, I don't know why I've got a frog in my throat. Again, goes on the wire that I just finished wrapping with. And the other wire wraps around the bead. Sorry, let me shut this off and see if I can get that frog out of my throat real quick. Okay, hopefully that's a little better. All right. So anyway, the bead goes on the wire that I just finished wrapping with, and then the other wire wraps around the bead, nice and snug around the side. And it goes in front of the other wire around the side of the bead. All the way around. And there we have it. There's my little trefoil wrap. Now I'm going to continue around the bead in front of the other wire and wrap it around that wire. And there we go. And there we go. Nice and snug. And I'm going to cut that off. And you just need to, it depends on how many times you want to wrap it around. I just need it at least 1.5 times around. And I'm going to cut off the excess wire. Push down that end, nice and tight against that stem and under the other wraps. There we go. Bend back that straight wire and make a loop. Again, I can check on this side to see how far down I need to go. Gives me an approximate location. And make my loop. Wrap that over the top. And there we are. Here's my loop. And let's wrap it. Again, only needs about 1.5 wraps or so. Enough. Yeah, another inch. You can take it down to 6 inches, but I'd at least give myself 7 just so I have a little wrapping. It makes it easier to wrap. There's that little tail, that little end down in between the other wraps, so it's not sticking up. Nice, nice, nice. And there we go. I think I'm going to need to do one more. I'm going to show you how to hook them together. And then I would suggest that you measure your arm as you go, because that's the fun about links. You can just measure as you go and see how many you need. But really, wouldn't this make a pretty earring too? The way they did the earrings was they didn't wrap this like this. They just did this and did a dangle at the bottom. Or the lady that made them didn't put a dangle at the bottom. She just cut that off, wrapped around there, and then just cut it off like this. It was very pretty. She also had 5 beads instead of 3, but I thought that would be too long for links. Anyway, so how do we link them together? Jump rings, of course. You see that little end sticking up. Let's push it down. Not with the cutters, Virginia. Get nice and snug there. All right. And again, this has a front and a back. There's my front. And there's my back. You can see, you can't see that the frame is matched. And I want that to show because it's pretty. And what I also want to do is make these a little opposite. So I'm going to go this zigzag, zigzag. I don't think I did that on the other, so I'll have to fix that. So anyway, I want the side that's sticking out on one side and then the other side sticking out the other way. Or you can just have it all going the same direction. It depends on your design aesthetic. But right now, we're going to link these together. So I'm going to take a jump ring. And a couple of different ways you can open a jump ring. You can just put your pliers on one side of the opening and then use your thumb to push down on the other side to get a nice opening there. There we go. Or you can use one pair of pliers on one side, another pair of pliers on the other side, and twist it open like that. The thing that you never want to do is pull it open or put your pliers inside, which I see people do sometimes, and open it that way, because what you're doing is ruining the loop. And then it's hard to get it closed again properly, and it's hard to get the loop shape back again. So you don't want to do that if you can avoid it. Now, because I want to make sure that my links are laying the same direction. I don't want one over this way and one over the other way. I like to lay it down when I attach my jump rings so that I can see exactly where I'm going. So what I'm going to do is leave these laying on my mat here, and I'm going to slide my loop inside the jump ring. It's probably easier if I show it to you a little closer to the camera. Let's get right down there. So I'm going to slide my jump ring inside the loop from top to bottom. Please don't do this to me. Really, it's embarrassing. So I slide that. I slide that in the loop from the top. And then on the other side, the other link, I go from the bottom to the top. so that now both of them are facing away from each other. So this is the top of this one, and this is the top of that one, and the backs are hugging each other. And then I close it up. That way I know that the right side is going to be showing. Let's do that again. Because I like to double up on my jump rings. One reason is for security. I don't have to worry about it coming apart. The other reason is for aesthetics. I think it looks better. It looks like it's part of the design instead of just something holding two pieces together. So I'm gonna go from top to bottom and then go from bottom to the top. Really? From the top, or going from up to down, and then going around and going from down to up. And again, let me close this. I'll show you what I mean. There's the top side that I want to show. And on the other side, the top side I want to show. So when I open them up, that's what I get. And I've already done several. So I want to make sure what I did. Yes, I did. Pretty good. This one I need to flip because I want it to go boop, 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 boop. Yes, but that's very pretty. So I'm going to flip that around because both of these are on the same side. So I'm going to change that. But let's go ahead and hook this together with what I just made. So I'm going to go from the top of my loop down towards the mat and then over to the other side and bring it up underneath and close. And I'm going to do the same thing with the second jump ring. And you don't have to use the pliers if you don't want to. If you can use your fingers, that's fine. I just do it so that you can actually see what I'm doing. If I use my fingers, it covers everything up and you can't see the process. Now, the one thing I want to make sure is that you make sure that the other jump ring doesn't get caught in the one that you're working with. They need to be separate. If they get tangled up, it's not going to hang properly. Make sure those loops are completely closed. And there we go. What I need to do now is, that's flipped over, isn't it? Get back over there. There. So because these, see how I've got them so that they're going oh, wait, these are both on the same side. Well, they are. They're all going the same direction. I don't know how I did that. I thought I had it set up where they were zigzagging, but they're not. So that's fine. The only one that's zigzagging is this one. So I'm going to turn that around so that they're all the same. I kind of wanted it to go one over here, one over there, one over there, one over there. But it did not turn out that way. So I'm going to correct this one. But I can do that off camera. Just wanted to show you how to link everything together. And now I'm going to check my arm and see how much more I need or if I need more. Nope, that's pretty good. I'm going to make my own clasp. So that will take up the rest of what I need. I could put one more link on here. Let me show you what I mean. I could put one more link on there, but I'm afraid it would end up being too large. And my arm is about 7.5 inches, and this comes to 6.5 inches, and I'm going to make a clasp that's going to extend it at least another 1.5 inches. So I'm going to leave it just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this around. Let's see, we're supposed to be over here, like that. So I'm going to go ahead and correct this one off camera, and I'll be right back. And I'll show you how to make your clasp. Okay, there we go. Wow, that's really pretty. I like that a lot. So now what we want to do is make a clasp. So what I'm going to do is, and I want it to be a beaded clasp because I've had people look at the pictures of things I make and go, how does it fasten? Because the clasp looks like the rest of the design, which is what I like. So I'm going to measure out about 4 inches. Let's give it 5 just to be safe. 5 inches of wire. That's going to be too much, but I would rather have too much. Yeah, let's just give it 4. I really don't need 5. So 4 inches of wire, 20 gauge. And I'm going to make a nice beaded clasp here. So let's bring that back up so we can see what we're doing. So what I'm going to do is just fold this, measure out about 1 inch of wire, and then fold it over at that inch. So I'm just going to hold on to it with my pliers. And then fold that in half as close as I can get it, like that. I was looking for the best view. Boop. Let's get up there. How's that? Okay, and then I'm going to take my pliers. I can squeeze it together as much as I can with my fingers, and then squeeze it together the rest of the way with my pliers, as close as I can get those two ends together without overlapping. You're just gonna have to be patient with yourself. Nice and slow. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. There. So now I've got them nice and close together. Then I'm going to go down here to the bottom, about 1/2 inch from the bottom. And I'm going to bend that tail up like so. And then I'm going to hold on to it with my pliers. And I'm going to wrap that short tail around both ends of my wire. Let's wrap that around. Nice and close. And if you can see, there's a big gap in there. Just squeeze it down with your pliers. So it's a nice tight loop. Wrap that around, and if it's too short to do with your fingers, just grab your other pliers and wrap it that way. Just want to get 1 to 1.5 complete wraps around. Like so. And I'm going to clip off that end. And that little tail is too short for me to hold on to. So I'm going to grab my spool of wire and I'm going to turn that down into it. And let that just fall down into the bottom. And I'm going to push down that little tail as close as I can get to the stem of my wire. Just like that. There we go. Nice and tight. Nice and snug. So then I'm going to make a hook. So I'm going to have a little bit of my wire sticking out from beyond my pliers. And I'm just going to turn the pliers until I have a nice little hook. So there's my hook. Just like that. Doesn't need to be huge. It can be longer if you want. It can be shorter. And then I like to go in with the pliers, the round ones or the flat ones, and just put a little ledge on the end. So I just go right here at the tip and just turn it up just a little bit, just like that. And there's my hook. Yay. So now I'm going to put a bead on it because I like it to be beaded. I like it to look like the rest of the design. I think I'm going to put 2 beads on. I would put 3, so it would look like that. What do you think? Should I put 3 on? 2 is enough. 2 is enough. And that's going to hook like that in there. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it. You don't have to wrap this, but I want to. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a wrapped loop. So I'm going to bend my wire back. See how this is going this way? There's the tail and there's the back. So that's the front to the back. And I'm going to bend my wire back and do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to make myself a nice loop. Just wrap that around. Open my pliers. Grasp my wire again, and there's my loop, but I don't want to close it up yet because I need to attach it to my bracelet. Now this is going to hook in this side. So I want to attach it on this side. And it doesn't matter which side you hook it on. It's entirely up to you. But you don't want to close that up until you've attached it to the bracelet. So this side with the hook should be facing down like that. And now I'm ready to wrap. So I'm going to hold on to the face of my loop, and I'm going to wrap the tail around just below the pliers and above my bead. I'm going to give it a little cap just because I have enough wire to do so. I'm going to keep wrapping until I have a little cap on my bead. May as well make it decorative. See? Neat, huh? Flip off that end as close as I can get it. Push that little end down as close to the other wires as I can get it. Nice and neat. And there we have it. And this is, you can do this one of two ways. If it's big enough that you don't need to make another hook or use a jump ring on the other side, you can just link it into the last loop of your bracelet. And there it is. Let me try and see if it's big enough or if I need a jump ring. Come on, get on. Nice. See, I like mine to be snug. I don't like dangly bracelets. So this is perfect. And it hooked right into, where is it? Oh, there it is. It just hooked into the last loop of my bracelet. Isn't that nice? I love it. So that my hook goes right along with the rest of my bracelet. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our trefoil wrap bracelet, link bracelet. Oh, so pretty. I think I'll make another one in red or green, or both. That's it. That's our piece for today. I love it. So simple, so easy, so much fun. Ah, there it is. Isn't that neat? I like it when you can take something and make it into something else. And this started off with pictures of an earring that turned into something else. I can't wait to tell the lady that posted this, I've got a video and I turned your earrings into a bracelet. I can't wait for her to see. Oh, that came out so nice. Anyway, that's our program for today. I hope you liked it. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know, and let me know why, because I'm always open to suggestions and improvements. Make sure you know that, number one, this is all free to you. The tutorials are free. They're sponsored by the DeKalb County Library Foundation, free from you, from them to you. We want you to know that. Also, the kits are free to you as well. So there are kits available at the Clarkston Library branch, the North Lake Library, Toco Hills Library, and Decatur Library. There's a limited supply, so you have to get in there, maybe call ahead, make sure the branch that you want to go to has them, and go get your free kit and just turn on your free tutorial and go to town. And if you don't get a kit, I mean, all of these things are available in your local craft store. As far as I know they have these things in Michael's and Joann's. All we used today was 6mm rondelle crystals, 20 gauge wire, and jump rings. That's it. You should be able to get those at your local craft store or Walmart, really. should have these things. So you shouldn't have any trouble finding them if this is something that you want to make. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to click on the DeKalb County Facebook page at facebook.com/DeKalb Library. That's facebook.com/DeKalb LIBRARY. DeKalb Library, DeKalb Library. Click on the search engine, put in Jewelry with Jen, click on it, and all of the tutorials that I have done over the last 3 years should come up. There's a lot of them. Do this once a week, and you should be able to enjoy them for free. Also, you can get in touch with me at my email, which is jewelrygen20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRYGIN20@gmail.com. I hope to hear from you, and I hope to see what you make because I'm always excited about that. But until next time, we're finished for this week. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.